Panthers are back, Chris. Let's go. Panthers are back.
Dennis, I texted you, and I was like, bro, 3 and out.
Let's go.
First drive. Panthers are back. Let's do it.
Let's get this sucker started.
Get dialed in, Panthers fans. Here comes an in-depth look at your team. Exclusive interviews. Locker room insight. Ready? Let's huddle up.
Let's just do it, okay?
For Panthers Playbook, driven by Carolina Ford dealers. Here are your hosts, Dennis Cox and Chris Lea.
Welcome back to another episode of Panthers Playbook. That's Chris Lea, Dennis Cox here with you. Make sure you subscribe here to Panthers Playbook. Leave your thoughts on the preseason game. 17-3 loss to the England Patriots. Offense looked a little inept. Chris, we're going to dive into that, but also want to thank our sponsor, Carolina Ford Dealers. With Ford F-150 on your team, it's game on. See your Carolina Ford dealer today. Chris, 17-3, and I know it was a lot of the number twos out there, but I'm just going to say right now, I'm over Terrace Marshall Jr. Done. Catch the damn ball. Jonathon Mingo, catch the ball, please. I know it's wet a little bit, but I'm sorry. Terrace Marshall Jr., 4th year in the league, catch the ball, please. You're a second-round pick.
I think that maybe some of this is nerves, but I don't want to give them that out, right? Like,
no excuses for Terrace.
Especially for Terrace Marshall Jr. Come on, bro. Like, you've been around, you've done this, you've been in actual NFL games, right? Yeah. Jonathon Mingo, you had a good chance to pick up a first down, and you simply dropped it. Amir Smith-Marset in the fourth quarter had a good chance for a touchdown, and you dropped it. Minimum first down, but probably could have been a touchdown. Or at least the Panthers are right there, knocking on the door at the goal line or something like that.
First and goal.
There's I don't want to overreact to this game.
Sure.
But I don't think this game is indicative of anything about the Panthers' future or their potential success of this season, right? However, it doesn't look good as far as like if any of the starters were to go down injured or just need a break during the game. I'm not confident, and that's not something that you want from a winning team. Now, I've already kind of went into this year expecting the team to kind of lean on their defense a little bit more, and we could talk about this later. I don't want to get into the weeds, but maybe the offense can help the defense a little bit more this year. And not give up short yardage or short field situations to other teams when you're turning the ball over and things like that so that teams can score. Maybe it puts the Panthers in different situations this year, and maybe they're scoring better. But when it comes down to just the backups and who's there, this team has no depth. You tweeted it. You texted it to me. I was thinking it, and I'm looking on there. There's not a lot of folks that really just flash out to me. I do have a list of some things, but there's not a lot of folks that flash out to me, especially on offense.
Well, here's the also thing that concerned me as well is that you talk about the depth on offense. I actually thought there's some guys on defense that really looked good. I know we'll dive into that, but offensively, Chandler Zavala was a fourth-round year and started a good amount of games. Cade started a good amount of games last season. Preseason was a full-time starter just 2 years ago and would have been last year had he not gotten hurt. Those were your 3 starting interior linemen and played most of the game. I know Cade Mays hurt the shoulder. I know Nash Jensen, his wife was having a kid, so he actually stayed back in Charlotte. But those were 3 guys that have starting experience. And as of right now, because Josh Neiman is still recovering from an injury, has not practiced yet. You're still dealing with the Damian Lewis shoulder injury. Those dudes are 1 play away from playing, and they didn't do anything to show me that they made any sort of improvement from last year. It concerns me big time because we saw Bryce Young get sacked 62 times last year.
Yeah.
If Austin Corbett gets nicked up or Damian Lewis or somebody gets nicked up, like you're literally like 1 bad series away from those guys being right back in there and looking no different than what you had last year.
I want to see 1 more game. I also want to see that practice between the Jets and the Panthers. Like, I won't be there down in Charlotte, but I'll be following along to see what happens in that practice because it's gonna be telling a lot. I don't want to react too much to this game, especially for the offensive line, because I will say this though, let's not let this guy off the hook either. Jack Plummer was not good.
Oh, no,
And
that dude's destined for the practice squad.
here's
Destined for
the thing.
squad.
Like Steve Smith said it correctly. He was like, he has no pocket presence at all. Looks like he's back there waiting for an Uber ride. That was like his direct quote, and I thought
Yeah.
it was pretty much spot on. And so he even blamed one of the sacks on Jack Plummer. It's like he's got to get rid of the ball. He's got to, climb the pocket. He's got to, do some different things than what he's doing instead of just standing there and making yourself a statue. So because of that, I don't want to overreact. I don't want to think it, but I also was not impressed by many people on offense today. I will say this because I want to be a little bit more on the positive side. I kind of like Jaden Sheridan. He didn't have a lot of carries, only had 4 carries, had 12 yards, but he showed that he had a little bit of a burst. I kind of want to see what he can do behind a real offensive line. No shade to, but a real offensive line. Mike Boone is good practice squad guy.
Been around the league for a long time.
I really liked what I saw from Jordan Matthews. And with the news today of the Panthers waiving Stephon Sullivan, and we know that we're going to have Tommy Tremble. We know that we're going to have Ian Thomas. We know that we're going to have Jadeveon Sanders. Last year's coaching staff kept 5 tight ends to start the season. I don't know if Dave Canales is going to do that. I don't know if his system is going to be that tight end heavy. But if they keep 4, Jordan Matthews might be a good option right there and has experience as a wide receiver. So, maybe he's kind of going back and forth with that and kind of can help you out with that. I thought he looked really good in today, and he helped the Panthers I guess, extend some drives with a couple of his catches in this game.
And he's played a bulk of his career in Philadelphia. Like former wide receiver, kind of and then bulked up to play tight end to what he is right now. So he's a veteran presence. The dude knows how to play. He's been around the league for a long time. And Sullivan was waived because he had body. Now there is a chance that they could re-sign him and bring him back after a certain length of time.
Yes.
To be determined unless another team wants to pick him up. I don't know. We'll see. But he actually on offense showed a little bit. Tonight in this 17-3 loss to the New England Patriots. Defensively, I'm a little less concerned about depth on defense. Because I actually saw some guys making some plays. I'm a little less concerned. Like Deshaun Jameson was around the football a lot. Like he had a couple of nice pass breakups. I liked what I saw from him. Eku Leota, I think, locked himself into the roster spot unless things fall off in the last couple of weeks of the preseason. He showed out to me. It looked good. He was constantly in the backfield, being a disruptor in some way, shape, or form. Those 2 guys stood out to me on defense. I'm a little less concerned about depth on defense as I am on offensive side of the ball.
It's going to be very tough for the Panthers to, when they have their 53-man cut down, the defensive side of the ball is going to be the toughest to cut down on.
Yeah.
I think you pretty much, we know our starters and we know some of the backups, but then there's going to be some guys who are fringe guys that is going to be like, man, we really want you. We just may not have the room, and we're just hoping that you clear waivers so you can stay on our practice squad just in case. But I was writing down notes during this time. Lamar Jackson did great in coverage, even though there was one time he got beat and was able to come back and stay with the play and able to get his hands on the ball and knock it down. So he took away a completion. Alex Cook just tackling dudes, you know what I'm saying? Like looking good there. Dane Jackson looked good in coverage. You said Echo Leota. His game today reminded me of the game that we got last year from Amari Barno in the first preseason game, because I think Amari Barno, I think due to injury, didn't play like the last 2 or something like that. But I remember coming out of the first preseason game saying, wow, like he's looking good. Maybe he could be one of the answers on the other side for Brian Burns. It didn't end up happening. But Eku Leota definitely probably etched himself on that roster after his play today. And Jamie Robinson, and then of course shout outs to DJ Smith for the sack. I thought that the defense looked really good. There were some other guys that I know that we're not talking about. And there's one thing I want to go back to is the pre-snap penalties.
Yeah.
Some guys are starters for a reason. It's not just how good you play and how you're able to, I guess, execute the offensive game plan. It's also just mental, and that you don't hurt the team and things that you don't have to hurt the team for, right? Maybe you need to hold at certain points. I get it, right? But you don't never need to have false start penalties. And we had a lot of that today where guys are just hurting themselves. And that's one good way to not get yourself on a roster, is just simply the mental part right here. Like, just simply execute. Remember what the snap count is. If you can't remember what the snap count is, look at the ball. I played little league football for a couple of years. I didn't play at a high level. I didn't play in high school, but that's one of the things that was like really beat into us on the offensive line and on the defensive line. If you don't remember the snap, look at the ball. Once the ball goes, you go. And it feels like some guys just literally forgot that. Now, this is the NFL. It's a different level. I know it might be a different level of nerves that come with this. This is a tryout. But a lot of these guys came from high-level college football and probably played in stadiums that have more people, more fans in them than what the Carolina Panthers will have all season, right? You need to execute. You can do this, right, if you want to make this team. And that's something that I found a little concerning as well.
Also, we had the pre-snap penalties in terms of like illegal shifts. We saw some of those a little bit. I mean, that's just my understanding, is that it's details. Coaches always preach details. And like you said, knowing the snap count, like that goes back to when you first started playing, like even like touch football, knowing the snap count is, it's so simple. I mean, there's like little things that you could do. I remember sometimes like in high school or in college, when I played, was just like, hey man, like what's the snap count? And the guy just kind of like taps you on the thigh once. Okay, it's on one. Or like they tap you like on the back, like on the shoulder twice. Okay, it's on two. Like there's different ways of doing those things. It's just, but also you talk about like the mental, like there's a high level of nerves with this. Being able to handle the nerves is part of being a pro. Because guess what?
Yes.
If you play in a regular season game, there's more at stake. If you make a roster, there's more at stake when it comes to the results. And if you can't handle a preseason game in that regard, how can I trust you to do it in a regular season game? And that's something that Dave Canales is going to sit there. I know he talked about in his post game. Is like, we put ourselves in some bad spots offensively with pre-snap penalties. That's something he's going to hammer on tape with those guys. Even the guys that didn't play. There are 32 Panthers, by the way, that did not play in this game. 32 that did not play in this game. I hope, Chris, that we see those 32 guys, the ones that are healthy. I want to see them play, not just in the joint practice. I want to see them actually play at Bank of America in a week from this Saturday on the 17th. Those guys need live reps, because clearly the team needs more reps together. Top to bottom. Simple as that. They need live reps together.
I would hope that Bryce Young, especially with his starting offensive line, get at least one. And, against at Bank of America Stadium against the Jets, who have a legit defense, right? And just remember, hey, our goal, the reason why we were paid to be here, is to keep Bryce Young upright. Now, we don't know what's going on with Damian Lewis. That will be kind of a tough situation to kind of see, because you might have somebody like a Chandler Zavala or Nash Jensen in there, whoever they decide to put right there at the guard position, left guard, next to Icky. So we'll have to see what ends up happening. Probably Brady Christensen would probably be the first person for that. So I would hope that is the case. Here's something I did want to go to, though, when it comes down to quarterback play. This was Jack Plummer's first NFL experience, and it didn't look very good. So I don't want to just throw him away to the wash.
A couple of those drops early did not help him by Mingo and Martin.
Yeah, some of those weren't his fault, but also it just felt like the operation wasn't together. And I don't know about you, but when I was watching it and Jake Luton finally came in, he was only in for a series. It felt like the operation just felt a lot smoother.
Yeah,
and that made me, and of course, in that part of the game, you're going to go more up tempo. You're down, and you're going to try to score. So I know it looks a little different, but also just it felt like it was smoother. It felt like he was, finding his receivers. It felt like the ball was getting out of his hands. He wasn't standing back there and just holding on to the ball. And so looking at that, it actually made me feel a little bit better, because this guy who's actually played actual NFL snaps, it's been a while. It's been since his first season, but he's actually played real NFL snaps before, was able to take the third and fourth string guys and move them down the field when Jack Plummer wasn't able to really do much with the second string guys. So it made me think about Bryce Young. What is Bryce Young going to do? Because he was number 1 overall for a reason. He was a high recruit out of high school for a reason. He goes to Alabama, wins a national championship, gets a Heisman for a reason, right? What is Bryce Young going to do behind this new offensive line and with Deontay Johnson and Adam Thielen and Xavier Legette and Jonathan Brooklyn and Jadeveon Sanders? Like I was thinking about that. So I'm trying not to get too ahead of myself, but looking at Jake Luton look a lot better than Jack Plummer made me think, okay, maybe it's not the Panthers that have the problem. Maybe it was part of Plummer and a few other guys. Because when somebody who had real NFL snaps came in, everything looked a lot smoother.
That it did, and 100% did, and they were a Amir Smith-Marset drop away from being first and goal, if not scoring on that play.
Yeah.
So that's the position that they were in. But hey, you know what? They got points. Thicker kicker, baby.
Thicker kicker. The quilted thicker pick quicker. I'll workshop that and I'll come back and I'll try to.
You work on it.
I'll work on that.
Next week when we have the episode, I want to hear it. Okay, next week when we have our Panthers playbook,
you want to hear it?
I want to hear it.
You want to? So I should bring it here.
Bring it right here.
Bring it here.
Right here.
Because you want to hear
it right here.
To be
right here, and then also right here.
Right here.
That's the key. I want it right here on Panthers Playbook, sponsored by Carolina Ford Dealers. With Ford F-150 on your team, it's game on. See your Carolina Ford dealer today. Again, make sure you subscribe. Leave your thoughts in the comments on this preseason game number 1. Are we overreacting? I don't know. Maybe we are. But I know a lot of fans were thinking a lot of the same things that we were just talking about, Chris, because we saw the posts online. But leave your thoughts in the comments. Again, make sure you subscribe because next week, we'll have another episode for you. Until next time, y'all be good.